Holach Jessica here. I want to show you how I made this very cute changing pad. This is a tutorial that's going to be for beginner sewers. I'm going to try to explain things a little bit better, and it's going to be a little bit slower paced, so if you already know how to sew, then I'm sorry. It will help those that are trying to make baby shower gifts, or if you just have a newborn yourself. This is for a newborn to about 6 months, depending on the size of your baby. I do have a little bit of a tail here because there are different options. Right now this is empty, so it's on the first one. If you have like about 3 diapers, a solid pack of wipes in here, you're probably on the second one. And the third one I put in here is for those times when they have accidents and you just need somewhere to throw the clothes that you didn't expect. Go ahead and wrap them in here. It'll be all contained, and then we can wash it later. So in this tutorial, there are going to be different options for your closures. You can tie, Velcro, or use snaps. I obviously use the snaps on this one. If you are doubting if you can do this with one hand, you totally can. It snaps on and off easily with one hand, and you carrying a baby. I've done it plenty of times, but I try to show you what it looks like if you were to have something in your hand and only have one hand free, because that happens all the time with babies. I'm going to kind of give you the rundown of what I'm going to do. First, we're going to cut a square that's going to be 38 inches by 20 inches. And then we're going to draw out some notches. And we're going to cut these out here. So then these go away. And then we're going to have this shape here. So this is my first fabric. This is going to be my outer fabric. And mine has a direction, so if you have a certain direction in your pattern that you need to go in a certain way, be mindful of that. My cutting pad here is only 36 inches wide, so I'm gonna fold it and cut it instead of trying to just cut one big rectangle. But we're gonna need 38 inches long by 20 inches wide. First, I'm gonna cut the 20 inches wide. So what I wanna do is fold this in half, and I'm gonna go ahead and use these salvage edge here. I know this is kind of straight already, so I'm gonna go ahead and line this line up on a line on my board, and then line the fold up with a line. And then I'm gonna cut off the salvage edge so that I have a straight line. And so I'm gonna go 20 inches out. And what I'm gonna do is just turn it so I can cut it easier. Line this up. So we need 38 inches, and I'm gonna divide that in 2 since I have it folded once, so it's 19. Okay, so 19 inches out. Now this is our rectangle. That is 20 inches wide by 38 inches in length. This is gonna be our starting point. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip this. This is the top, and this is the bottom. Working on the wrong side, I'm gonna go ahead and fold this in half. I wanna find the center of the bottom. This is the center of my bottom. I need 11 inches total on the bottom, so I need to go 5.5 inches out from the center mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. 5.5 here, 5.5 here. Need to go 14 inches up on the side. Double check your math. The same on the other side, your 14-inch mark. Then you're gonna get a ruler. You want to cut this out actually, but this is just a weird angle for me. So now you have to repeat for your lining, and if you need and want stabilizer. I am going to use this fabric for like cloth diapers. I think it's just a really fun contrast from more of a conservative outside. Plus it will withstand the wiping more. if you have a piece of plastic like this and it needs to be ironed, clearly needs to be ironed, you get a piece of cotton and you wet the cotton and you have your heater, your iron on hot with the steam on, and then very quickly you want to go over this. So you want to heat the plastic up, but it will melt, and then you need to give it time to cool. So here I'm adding stabilizer. I'm using a lightweight fusible stabilizer for my cotton outer fabric. And then what you're seeing here is just me kind of piecing the interfacing together because I just don't like to waste fabric or interfacing, especially interfacing, and you never know when you need it for a project. And if you're wondering, interfacing just helps to thicken a fabric to make it more stable so that it won't be so flimsy. I have this scrap that I want to use. Originally I wanted to do 6 inches wide, but it's only 6 inches right here and clearly not down here. So I'm going to make it as wide as possible and 20 inches. I'm just going to take my ruler. I have the straight edge, straight on this line and straight on this bottom line. 5.5 inches wide by 20 inches. The length of this is more important than the width of this. Pull that in half and give it a press. And now you're going to have a crease right here down the center. You'll have a crease. And then fold in the center so that they are touching that center crease that you just created. And do the same for the opposite side. And then now that you have them folded in, go ahead and fold over. Give that one last press. One side can be raw edge, but the other side needs to be finished. If you have a pattern in a direction that you need to follow, make sure you pay attention to that. So it looks like mine is going this way. So the bottom can be a raw edge because that's going to be sewn into the project, which means the top end here needs to be sewn shut or creased and sewn. So fold over about 1/4 inch on the top. And then you're just going to redo your lines. There you go. I haven't sewn this yet. This is still just pinned, but go ahead and find the center. And then you're just gonna sew all the way from the bottom up, across, and back down. So I chose coordinating thread. And made my turns on the top. Now going to the body of this project, this is cotton, which can be pinned. However, if you're using a plastic, I don't suggest you use pins. I suggest you use clips. You can use paper clips or binding clips, clothesline clips. You can use all of those, but I do have these quilting ones that I got for really cheap online, not at the store. They are ridiculously expensive at the store. This particular plastic that I have can melt with heat, but you have to use like a special thread to seal those puncture holes that the needle makes. I am just using regular polyester thread on this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and use the clips instead of the pins to get this project together. My outer fabric, I'm going to do right side up, and then my lining fabric, I'm going to do right side down. And go ahead and line them up and clip together. Go ahead and mark the center of your project. You just need an indicating line right here in the center. This is going to be placed inside, but I want an opening so that I can turn this right sides out. So you need a 3-inch opening, and most people will want to put it in the center, but I'm putting the band in the center on the top here. I don't want my only stitch holding the band in to be my top stitch. I really like to reinforce this as I'm putting it together, so I really want to go back and forth in this area. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the opening on the side. So I'm going to leave, you need about a 3-inch opening. So what I like to do to help myself out, to indicate where my opening is I always put 2 pins or 2 clips in this case. So I know I'm going to start here, go all around, reinforce here, go all around, up, down, and then I'm going to come here and stop, leaving this open, and then I can flip from here. Where you marked the center and where you marked the center on here, we're going to go ahead and shove it in the middle. You want the sewn edge that is closed to go in between. So you have an in between your project. You want to line these up. You want this lined up here, but you also want it to be straight. So I'm just putting my hand through the bottom here, and I just want to align it so it lays straighter and not like off to the side. Perfect. And throw pin or clip. I like to throw it on both sides. You throw it on both sides and clip all 3 together. For the feet, this is a regular utility foot, and this will do well on the strap part and if you're top stitching on the cotton. However, if you need to top stitch on or sew on the plastic part, this part here, the metal kind of sticks to this fabric, so if you have a non-stick foot, it'll glide easier and it won't stick. This is not required for this project, but if you have it, it's better. And if you make a mistake, then it's okay, because no one else knows. So what we want to do right now is clip the corners. So clipping the corners means you just cut off this excess fabric, but you don't want to get too close to your stitching. For your inverted corners, what you want to do here, this corner, this right angle corner, you want to cut right into that corner, but without touching your thread. So now your fabric can turn easily, and you'll get sharper corners if you do this. It won't look homemade and it won't look rounded off. Oh yeah?
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Snip, snip.
Come.
Okay, so for this top, I kind of like to leave this extra, but you don't have to. You can always clip it. Nothing's wrong with it. I just sometimes leave it there.
Here.
But there you go. There you go.
Thank you.
Say bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
So now you go to your opening that you left, and since we clipped the corners, we're going to go ahead and turn everything in right side out. So now you want to push your corners out. So I like to stick my hand in. I like to use my scissors, but be careful not to poke through. I poke through many projects. So gently just kind of push that corner out so it's sharper. So here's a little strap here, and now we want to roll out our seams and press so that they're flat. And since this is the plastic side, I'm going to try to work on this side so I don't melt that. Much as you hate to iron, it is one of the keys of making your project not look homemade, sadly. That and hand stitching your finishings make your project not look homemade. So what I'm doing here is this seam, it's kind of like bubbling over on both sides. So the seam's kind of like tucked into the project. So with my fingers, I'm trying to roll the seam out as far as possible so it's not in. And it'll lay flatter once I do that. So once I get it out, go ahead and press that. And you see how fabulous this lays versus leaving a project like this or just trying to top stitch this. You're still gonna have a little bit of a bubble here versus trying to top stitch this and it's crisp. This hand rolling out will take a little bit of time, but it will make your project look great. And just do that all the way around. You don't want the lining to show, especially on this bottom part, because of the next step to make the little pocket for the diapers. So what you want to do is even push it out as much as you can and make sure when you iron it that you do not see that lining coming through. That's what you want. So I went ahead and ironed this opening already, but I want to mark. You want to mark and tell yourself, this is the beginning, this is the end, and then just one in the middle to hold it when you take these off. And we're going to top stitch. So I like to start near the opening so that I don't forget to do the opening and to pay attention to where the opening is. Make sure I'm catching this seam allowance shut. So I think I'm going to try to do a 1/8 stitch all the way around. And that is what I did on this strap, was a 1/8. Did black thread on top and bottom of this, but this is both cotton. So since this is different, I think I'm going to do a white on my bobbin thread and a black on my top thread. If you're wondering what a 1/8 seam allowance looks like, you can go ahead and line your fabric up with the edge of your foot here and then move your needle all the way over. You have corners in this project, so if you sew in the needle in the down position here, then when the machine stops, the needle will stop in the fabric, and that really helps you when you're dealing with your turns. So you just lift your foot up. Turn your fabric, foot down, and keep sewing. You see the machine stops, the needle stops in the down position. Turn your fabric, drop your foot, and keep sewing. So I have this all top stitched down. It's laying flat beautifully. Now we're going to go to this bottom part. We're going to go ahead and turn this wrong side up and then flip this over. and you're going to create this little pocket. And then you are going to line up your side and pin. So the reason you need to iron and top stitch the lining so that it is underneath on this stage is because when you get here, you're gonna see the lining regardless, but you don't want it to be obvious. This is a technique that you can find in like any purse. It's commonly used even when you're buying stuff from the store, so it's not an inexperienced way, it's just, it is a simpler way that they do things, which means that if you're a beginner, this is definitely an easier technique. So that's why I want to show you and make this with them. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna backstitch and follow the same line you just stitched. So you're gonna stitch over the stitch you already have on here. Okay, so my needle was on the left side. I'm gonna switch it to the far right. I'm gonna actually sew off the edge here and kind of reinforce that and then go down the side. Okay, so I did a pretty good job. It was kind of hard doing it while I was looking in the camera, but I just went over this stitch, back stitch here, try to back stitch a couple times here to reinforce because this is where it's going to be most tugged at. So diapers go in here. A few more diapers can fit in here. Actually, I just have one on me. And what you do is just fold in the sides, which is nice. If they get poop in here and you need time to clean it, you can just kind of close it in on itself, which is nice. And then you just roll. Here's the strap options for your closures. If you made this a good like 2 or 3 inches longer, then you can go ahead and try to see if you would like to do a non-closure, just like a wrap tie option, which this looks beautiful just like that. However, I'm thinking more of function over fashion, where this is going to be thrown in bags or thrown in a car, quick to go. That's what this is a quick grab and go. And so I want to make a little more sturdier option. So here are your options, is making this a few inches longer and being able to tie it in a tighter knot, or you can have a Velcro option where you would put the Velcro on here and then the Velcro on here. I would do a few different places for the Velcro, so maybe like one here and one here, and then they will be able to just Velcro it, and then when they're using it, you know, obviously unvelcro it. But here's the awesome thing about having the closure on the strap versus on the actual project, is now you can just top stitch this so easily after you finish your project and find the placements, the correct placements that you would like for these Velcros. My next option is these snaps, and I'm gonna go ahead and do a few snaps on here. What I want to do is give the person I'm giving this to a few options. I will go ahead and mark that actually. I don't know if I showed you, but I'm using like the disappearing. This is my favorite pin. The mark be gone, disappearing. And you're just gonna mark in the center where you want that closure to be. So I'm not pulling taut on here. I'm just gonna go ahead, give myself a marking here. This is almost like empty stage, I say, even though I have one diaper and some wipes in there. What happens is, and you have to think about this, is when they have a brand new pair of wipes, or let's say they poop on themselves, and maybe you want to throw some clothes in here. So having this extra room, you can actually like throw stuff in here, and there's a little bit of room. Toward the end here, have another one. My mark is here and my mark is here. So So I'm gonna kind of split that difference and do a mark. Here's the good thing about marking it when it's wrapped is now this mark is on the top here and these marks are on the bottom, which you might have mixed up before. So now you have the correct marking and we can go ahead and use our snaps here. Okay, so I had my marking on the top here. So I'm gonna take this piece here and I'm gonna push it through where I had that dot, just so it comes out the back side and I can see it. And then I'm gonna take it out and put it in through the back. This part is the backing, it's only the backing, and this part is the actual part that we need to go face up. So that's right on top there. And you take your tool here. Give that a good squeeze. So now your snap is in. So then moving down to the opposite end, our markings are now on the back side here. And I'm gonna do the same thing where I poke through where I'm doing my marking, but that is just to find my place. Now I'm gonna remove it from here and move it to the back. And this is important that this is the opposite. Okay, so these are the three pieces. These are the backings to either one of these. And then this is like the male part, and this is the female part. I don't know how else to explain it. This is like exverted, inverted. And so I have the inverted one on the top, and I'm gonna put these on the bottom. So sadly, this is where my baby is. 3-4T pull-up diapers. She's still only 2. These are way bigger than what this is used for. So keep that in mind again. This is a decently filled wipes, but I just want to show you it really does fit all of this. And this is on the second one. You're gonna have a table, right? You're taking them to a changing table, but you don't know what is on this changing table. So you're gonna undo, and then you don't have to worry about the diapers falling out, which is great. And then you just kind of throw it all down. You put baby down, and then you grab a diaper, you grab a wipe. So let's say you did your diaper change. This is how it's gonna go. You still have baby on here. You're gonna put that in, then you pick up baby and you hold baby, and then you have one hand, because you know this is how it goes. Grab and go. You're just gonna fold, fold, and then you're gonna flip, 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 all the way until you get to your snap, and push and go. And you still have baby. That's why this is a really good gadget. Okay. This is my not so little now, who I could barely hold with one arm. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. God bless. Don't forget to thumbs up it, speak it, and spread it. Hit the notification button if you want to see more of me. I don't know. And if you are a beginner sewer, please let me know if this helped you and what you thought if you made it yourself. Or let me know who you made it for or you want to make it for. If you're experienced sewer, you have any tips and tricks, please share. This page is to obviously help inspire others.
Bye-bye. Subscribe.
Okay, bye. Jesus loves you.
Jesus love you.